The contrast is sharp. 006 slurps down ramen, with a gun casually tossed on the table. Meanwhile, Aijin, sharp in his suit, clutches his phone, his expression heavy with concern. Turns out they're sitting together. 006 savors the noodles, looking nothing like an infiltrator, while Aijin sits opposite him, watching in silence. 006 praises the high-calorie junk food 1 second, then snaps his gaze to Aijin the next, eyes sharp. If the camp couldn't find me, how did you? Aijin doesn't flinch, his eyes reflecting deep history, because I knew you were alive, and no one knows you better than me. 006 falls instantly silent. 006 grins, asking if Aijin's memories returned. Upon confirmation, he actually looks relieved. Bet 032 knows you're alive too. I'd love to see the look on his face. At the mention of the past, 006's smile vanishes. I was devastated when I heard you died. You didn't even tell 032? Aijin answers coldly. The fewer people know, the better. 006 looks surprised that Aijin kept secrets even from the bosses. The scene flashes back a cocky grin amidst the flames, back when they fought together in hell. The flashback reveals a brutal explosion, fire tearing through the sky. The battlefield was a living hell of smoke and death, with no peace in sight. Soldiers scrambled through the sea of fire amidst the ruins. In that chaos, the figure of the old number 001 stands out, radiating the cold ruthlessness of a war machine. Bodies lie scattered in the burning grass, soaked in blood. In that battle, life was cheap, and death was just a heartbeat away for everyone. As the smoke clears, the surviving mercenary stands atop the ruins. The camera zooms in on a bloody mechanical hand, gripping a scorching magazine, still radiating violence. Back then, the eyes held no humanity, only endless rage and bloodlust. The pupils split like a beast's in the crimson glow of the fire. The scene cuts to a lonely back facing the devastation. Aijin's internal monologue echoes. Whenever I ask myself why I did that. Back in reality, 006 explodes with emotion, voice trembling. I obeyed the camp like a dog, all because I considered you a friend. And you lied to us. 006 adjusts his glasses, staring dead at the man in front of him, tone turning ice cold. The mercenary Jayan making waves lately. That's you, right? Aijin's silence confirms it. Aijin tries to explain, but 006 crushes the bottle in his hand, killing intent erupting. If you didn't want to be found, you should have stayed far away from the camp's radar. After the outburst, 006 looks at the city lights, tone shifting. You've changed since your memories returned. Maybe it's this peaceful life. I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse. Right in that moment of heavy tension, a jarring phone vibration shatters the silence. Aijin looks down. It's a call. 006 grins at the absurdity, eyes amused. In the middle of a life-or-death standoff, Aijin casually picks up the phone, acting like just another high schooler. In the corner of the cafe, Blondie 006 is glued to his phone. Beside him, silver-haired 032 watches closely, eyes full of suspicion. The silence is suffocating. The call ends, and a chilling grin spreads across Blondie's face. It's like he just got the kill order. Pure bloodlust radiates from him. Before anyone can react, a blinding beam of energy erupts, blasting straight ahead. The attack is on. 032 can't withstand the brute force. He's sent flying, crashing hard onto the floor, his face twisted in agony. Blondie flashes behind him, gripping his skull in a vice. He reveals the truth with a cold sneer. The organization found you, and I'm here to clean up. Blondie's pupils shift, his intent lethal. The scene cuts to the little sister stepping out of an elevator, completely oblivious to the Reaper closing in. Back at school, it's peaceful. Students chat about recycling, a stark, jarring contrast to the bloody violence unfolding elsewhere. Back in the shadows, Blondie stares at the base's surveillance monitors, muttering the codename 001, plotting something even more dangerous. He actually prefers this current version of Aijin over the old killing machine. Beside him, The gray-haired man remains terrifyingly silent. Night falls over the glowing city. In a dim room, the intel guy clutches his head, letting out a heavy sigh, clearly stressed out. Suddenly, the phone rings. Seeing Yu Aijin on the screen, he snaps out of it instantly, his eyes sharpening with alert. Aijin wastes no time. He orders him to pull surveillance and track a target immediately, his voice dripping with terrifying urgency. The contact is baffled, complaining that getting authorization this late is a nightmare, hesitating to take the job. Aijin cuts him off. Act now, or my family dies. Hearing that, the contact's face goes pale. He realizes the gravity of the situation. Meanwhile, two guards are confused. Did that kid just barge in and steal our only motorcycle without saying a word? They're still shaking. Just seeing that familiar mercenary uniform was enough to make their knees weak. Pure intimidation. On the streets, Aijin tears through the night like a lightning bolt. Coordinates stream into his earpiece. Every second counts. The intel guy glues his eyes to the screen. The target is dodging cameras perfectly, clearly a pro at counter-surveillance. He finally realizes this isn't a standard mission. It's a personal vendetta, and a hunt between monsters has begun. Aijin stands at the silent dock, frowning at his phone. A motorcycle skids to a halt nearby, breaking the silence and signaling approaching danger. He realizes this diversion is just to buy time. Thoughts of his grandpa and sister flash through his mind. He can't afford to waste a second here. Under the helmet, his eyes go cold. Finger tight on the trigger, he decides to end this immediately with brute force. In the dim hideout, 006 sits among scattered ammo, calming his breath. The sudden ring of an unknown number freezes the air. He picks up, and the news wipes the calm off his face. The caller not only questions his location, but drops a bombshell. 001 is here too. 006's voice turns grim as he vows to kill the traitor. On the other end, the blue-haired man smiles, happy to watch these beasts tear each other apart. The voice warns him not to underestimate the former ace, 001. But 006 scoffs, looking out the window, convinced that legend is ancient history. He assumes Aijin has gone soft after hiding for so long. As he hangs up, Aijin's photo on the screen still radiates an unsettling chill. Ambush. A figure drops from above, crashing down. The blue-haired man is floored before he can react, while a purple-haired observer watches from the shadows. Gunfire flashes in the dark as Aijin opens fire upon landing. The blue-haired target is pinned down, screaming in pain amidst the flying debris. The enemy falls to his knees, realizing too late he was tracked by cameras. He looks up to see Aijin standing there like the Grim Reaper. Cornered, the guy still forces a smirk, mocking Aijin's speed. Aijin remains silent, his eyes cold as ice. Enough talk. They collide violently in the tight space, the thud of fists and kicks shaking the very air around them. A heavy fist connects squarely with the jaw. The blue-haired man's face twists in pain, blood spraying from the merciless impact. The sheer force sends him flying backward like a ragdoll, completely losing his balance. Aijin shakes the blood off his hand, towering over him. The fallen enemy grins through the pain, admitting the mercenary is stronger than the rumors. Without hesitation, Aijin brings a glowing blade down. Against an enemy like this, mercy is not an option. The brawl descends into chaos, blades and bodies blurring together. A foot stomps on scattered papers, signaling a turning point in the carnage. A blue beam tears through the sky. In the chaos, a blade plunges deep into the blue-haired man's back, blood spurting everywhere. The pink-haired attacker chuckles coldly as the prey falls. But on the ground, the blue-haired man's finger twitches, his ring glowing with an eerie green light. The blonde agent uses his last ounce of strength to crawl toward the gun, but it's too late. The Reaper's muzzle is already pointed at him, radiating pure killing intent. In that split second, a blade pierces right through the purple-haired enemy's chest. Aijin doesn't hesitate, he pulls the trigger, and the gunshot tears through the air. The enemy is blasted backward by the impact and crashes down. But he's not done yet screaming profanities. He wildly fires back even as he falls. Suddenly, a baton strikes from the shadows. Aijin reacts instantly, his gaze sharpening as he dodges the sneak attack. The hooded guy tries to run? No chance. Aijin bursts into full speed, becoming a blur as he relentlessly hunts him down. The target speeds off on a motorcycle. Covered in blood, 006 stands by the road, coldly watching the taillights fade, choosing not to give chase. The hexagonal pupil contracts sharply as a blurry memory floods in. A once warm image that has now become a painful thorn in the heart. With a deafening crash, a brutal accident tears up the street, destroying the motorcycle. Behind it all, the man quietly watches the chaos unfold. Watching the police lights flash, the man leans against the railing, frowning deep. He's starting to regret it. He really shouldn't have gotten mixed up in a fight between monsters. Meanwhile, the rich kid Sukju speeds through the night. His gut tells him something big is going down, and he slams on the gas. Aijin looks at his battered comrade, too anxious to speak. But 006 acts tough, insisting he's fine, as if the blood on him doesn't matter. Sukju stares at the body in the pool of blood, pale with fear. Thinking he killed the guy with his car, he stammers, "Did I hit him too hard?" Even though he's badly hurt, 006's mind is racing. He immediately orders the confused Sukju, "Don't just stand there, go check if that guy is dead." Back in the car, Sukju can't shake the feeling that something's off. The guy Aijin was chasing was no tourist. He's definitely gotten himself into some serious trouble. But a second later, reality hits. Looking at the smashed front of his beloved car, the rich kid freaks out. "Crap! How the hell am I gonna explain this to my family?" After the chaos, 006 hides alone in the dim, safe house. As the adrenaline fades, the pain sets in, and he curls up in the corner, licking his wounds in silence. He coldly kicks the captive on the ground. "Get up, stop playing dead." Even in defeat, the maniac laughs creepily. "I never expected a lone wolf like you to actually have friends." 006's eyes darken, the words hitting a nerve. The mercenary who used to work alone now has a weakness in backup. That was indeed the enemy's most fatal miscalculation. The dust settles. Liam, covered in blood, collapses but checks one last thing. "Anyone else ordered to kill me?" Aijin replies calmly, "No one. Just me." Liam knows the organization too well. To save face, they'll try to silence him quietly to cover up their mistake, and they will never stop hunting. After all, his survival cost them dearly. Especially that crazy one-eyed enforcer, who must be desperate to finish the job. Having said his piece for the sake of their past, Liam has no regrets. He grips his knife, ready for the end. "Do it. Don't hesitate." Facing death, he smiles. Being killed by the legendary 001 is a far better end than falling to some random thug. Flashback to the hideout. Instead of killing his comrade 032, Liam cuts his bonds, leaving 032 completely confused. When 032 asks why he's spared, Liam sheathes his blade and replies coldly, "You're still breathing because you have a use." He tells 032 that escaping the organization is impossible, unless one person dies to end it all. The plan is crazy. From now on, 006 is dead. Only by taking the fall and disappearing can the others survive. It's a huge gamble, but better than rotting in this shack. To survive, 032 agrees to play his part in this staged death. Back in the present, Liam warns Aijin gravely, "If you don't finish this completely, they will eventually target your family." Aijin's gaze darkens. He knows. If they dare touch his grandfather or sister, he will burn the organization to the ground. To protect his normal life, Aijin won't hesitate. As a final favor, Liam decides to clean up the mess before disappearing for good. Before they part, Liam stops him. Dropping the code name, he asks seriously, "What is your real name now?" "You Aijin." He speaks the name, clearly proof of his life as a normal human being. Liam smiles back, "I am as Liam. It's been 10 years. Finally, The two survivors from hell exchange names like human beings. Job done, Ijin returns to the old apartment. The sound of the unlocking door instantly pulls him from the battlefield back to reality. As he enters, his grandfather peeks out, worried sick. Seeing the old man waiting up, Ijin feels a pang of guilt. Ijin blames it on coffee. The grandfather doesn't pry, simply telling him gently to wash up and rest. The light is always on for him. Walking to his room, his sister's voice echoes in his mind. To protect this warmth, he will bear every sin and shed any blood necessary. It's late, but Dayun is still awake. Her simple words, "Food is on the table," instantly wash away Ijin's exhaustion. "We saved some home cooking for you." Facing such unconditional warmth, Ijin turns his back and lets out a heavy sigh, torn between guilt and gratitude. Staring at the packed warm meal, the boy who shows no mercy on the battlefield touches his neck, his eyes filled with unspoken tenderness. Suddenly, the phone screen lights up in the quiet room. A message is sent across the ocean. Far away, 006 receives the text. Just two simple words, "Thank you," leave the cold mercenary stunned. Ijin walks down the hallway as usual, unaware he's the center of attention, surrounded by whispers. In the crowd, the silver-haired rich kid Sukju leans against the wall, staring sharply at Ijin, waiting for something. Sukju blocks the way, ignoring the confused classmates, and solemnly signals that he needs a private word with Ijin. The atmosphere in the waiting room is heavy. Sukju doesn't beat around the bush and brings up yesterday's chaotic attack. "The guy you hit yesterday was actually my work partner." This revelation makes Ijin break into a cold sweat, his heart skipping a beat. Ijin asks tentatively, but Sukju simply nods, his eyes devoid of hostility. Sukju shifts tone. "I know you investigated him, but it's best to stop here. Don't dig any deeper. I'm only telling you this because you helped me yesterday." Hearing this, Ijin sighs in relief and agrees to drop it. Sukju smiles knowingly. "I figured you had a history with him, but I won't pry into your secrets. Everyone has a past." Crisis averted. They walk back to class like nothing happened, where a curious female classmate is already waiting. Burning with curiosity, she leans in. "So mysterious. What were you two talking about?" Ijin instantly panics. Cornered, the super mercenary blushes and lies. He was asking me how to rank up in League of Legends." She teases him mercilessly, suggesting he lost the game just to talk to someone on his level. Ijin turns away, ears burning red. He is terrible at hiding his embarrassment. The comment hits hard like a knife to the heart. He stands by the window, utterly defeated, his silence speaking volumes about the emotional damage he just took. Dayun walks home, happily texting about buying fruit for Grandpa. Her warm thoughts are suddenly interrupted by a stranger's voice calling out, "Excuse me." A guy in a hoodie blocks her path with a confident smile, confirming her school. Dayun clutches her phone, eyeing him with clear suspicion and guardedness. He asks for her number, leaving Dayun completely flustered and confused. He mistakes her shock for shyness, unaware she just finds the whole situation awkward. Rejected instantly, his friends burst into mocking laughter. Humiliated, the guy snaps, face red with anger, as he screams he only asked for a number, not a date. Suddenly, a fierce red-haired girl with an eye patch steps in. Her gaze is ice-cold as she tells the jerks to back off, radiating an intimidating aura that freezes the scene. Action speaks louder than words. She lands a devastating blow on the purple-haired guy. His friend watches in horror as the sheer force sends him flying. The thugs retreat, shouting empty threats. With the danger gone, classmates rush to check on Dayun, replacing the tension with warmth and concern. Just as she thanks her rescuer, the mood turns dark again. Three muscular, menacing figures block their path, their eyes locking onto them with malicious intent. Under the dim streetlights, two figures track their prey. A low question, "Is this the place?" signals that trouble has officially arrived. It's a rival school gang looking for a fight to assert dominance. The leader spots their targets, his eyes lighting up with cruel excitement as the hunt begins. Elsewhere, unaware of the danger, two friends walk home under the sunset. He grumbles about not being invited to the market, a quiet moment of everyday connection. Back at the scene, the gang leader's expression shifts. He realizes this opponent isn't like the other. Shock quickly morphs into lethal aggression. The tables turn instantly. Two figures stand above, looking down with cold disdain. The once arrogant bullies are now frozen in absolute terror. No words needed, violence erupts. A devastating punch sends the attacker flying. The remaining lackey trembles in pure horror, realizing too late he messed with the wrong people. The street becomes a chaotic battlefield. Silhouettes clash against the sunset, screams and curses filling the air as the retribution is swift and brutal. Back in the safety of home, Dahyun praises his fruit-cutting skills. Ijin stares at the knife, a gentle yet complex look in his eyes. He's used blades for much darker things than fruit. Warm kitchen vibes shatter as the phone rings, piercing the domestic peace and startling Ijin and his sister. The family freezes in shock. Ijin rushes to his room, staring at the ominous unknown number flashing on the screen. Ijin answers with a stone-cold face. On the other end, his former comrade speaks with a confident, knowing tone. It's 006, hiding in the shadows. He reveals his plan to plant false leads and vanish abroad to protect Ijin's identity. A final goodbye hangs in the air. 006 accepts his fate, and Ijin lowers his head, whispering a heavy "take care." Back at school, Seokju's eyes widen in disbelief as he processes some shocking news that leaves him stunned. Classmates gossip about a fight. Ijin cuts in, his gaze turning sharp as he demands to know who the attackers were. Hearing "go suck high," Ijin's expression darkens immediately. A red warning light flashes in his memory. The group senses a trap, suspecting it's no coincidence, while the girls remain confused by the sudden tension. The conversation shifts to Dahyun. A classmate notes how popular and pretty Ijin's sister used to be in the past. His friend is shocked. Another student reveals the dark truth. Dahyun was isolated because bullies targeted her. They discuss Dahyun's depression casually, while a silent observer listens, his expression darkening with heavy thought. As they agree on Dahyun's beauty, the friend looks puzzled, sensing the complex scars hidden beneath the surface. The scene shifts to a neon-lit club. A blonde thug fumes with rage, insulted that his crew is being disrespected. The scarred thug grits his teeth. He can't believe the students who used to cower in fear are now ignoring them. The boss explodes in a rage, screaming at his terrified lackeys, demanding to know who exactly they messed with. The white-haired thug panics, realizing they provoked a friend of the notorious Cha Dusik. He wants to flee immediately. A heavy boot stomps out a smoldering cigarette. The silence breaks, signaling that this conflict is far from over. The tattooed giant roars, ready to rumble, but Ijin just stands there, flashing a confident, chilling smile. Seokju drops the act, his eyes glowing with a terrifying blue light that freezes the thugs in sheer shock. The silver-haired heir steps forward, his voice ice-cold. "I heard you guys mess with my sister." The blonde thug looks genuinely confused, stammering a denial, but the tension in the air only tightens. The scarred leader pauses, suspicion narrowing his eyes. "Wait, are you saying she's your sister?" The blonde guy starts shouting frantically, swearing it was a mistake and his brother didn't know who the girl was. Gritting his teeth, he backs down and promises to keep everyone away from her, while Seokju watches in cold silence. Anger, coldness, and fear clash in the air as their gazes lock in a silent, suffocating standoff. Veins bulge on the thug's neck from suppressed rage, but faced with Seokju and Ijin's overwhelming presence, he holds back. Muttering in Portuguese about settling this later, the gang decides to retreat, leaving the tension unresolved for now. Outside, the truth comes out: the guy hitting on Dahyun was the brother of a major figure, leaving the girl in total shock. Seokju remains on edge, his eyes darkening as he warns that those guys can't be trusted and he'll keep watching them. Confrontation over, Suk-ju takes a deep breath and adjusts his tie, trying to steady his nerves after the standoff. Cut to the convenience store. Ijin stands before a bowl of ramen and rice balls, feeling a rare moment of nostalgia. Suk-ju offers a fancy meal, but Ijin refuses. When the topic of the borrowed motorcycle comes up, the heir casually tells him to keep it. Ijin pauses mid-slurp. He grumbles whatever, clearly uncomfortable with owing anyone a favor, even for a bike. Watching Ijin eat, Suk-ju can't help but wonder. He looks like a harmless student, but his brutal efficiency in a fight makes no sense. Suk-ju finally asks what his deal is, but Ijin just wipes his mouth and gives a calm, innocent reply. I'm just living a normal student life. Ijin brushes it off. The scene shifts to the towering SW building lighting up the night. Suk-ju looks up at it, the weight of his legacy heavy on his shoulders. The memory shifts to a high-rise office, where voices question the ruthless cost of the company's growth. A thorn in Suk-ju's side. Tension fills the office. The boss states it plainly. When you steal candy, expect enemies to bite back. Elsewhere, the chairman offers tea to break the ice, but the gray-haired young man shuts him down cold. The chairman probes about training and school, but the guy gives one-word answers, radiating leave me alone energy. Patience running thin, the young man cuts the meeting short. I'm leaving. Training calls. As he storms off, the bodyguard fumes in silence, but the young man doesn't look back. Cut to the SW training center. Security teams are drilling hard, watched closely from the shadows. In the observation room, the instructors discuss the rookie. The blue-haired leader is sharp. He's hiding his strength. The kid moves with insane speed. He's holding back, but his combat instincts are impossible to hide. It's obvious he's a trained pro. Yet, the quiet kid manages to be popular with the squad. Scene shift. Shinjia sips her coffee, feigning concern for her blonde subordinate's injuries, but her tone is loaded. The subordinate smiles nervously. Her gentle warning to be careful sends a chill down his spine. Pleasantries over, she drops the bomb. Are you still investigating that student? He blurts out, you Ijin. Jia's eyes narrow instantly. He remembers the name? It's more than just an investigation. Seeing him sweat while trying to act cool, Jia smiles and cuts him off. Stop acting. Seeing his relief, Jia puts the pieces together. She whispers, you Ijin, her interest in the high schooler deepening. Elsewhere, the silver-haired guy takes a water break, only to be accosted. Are you a friend of my fiancé? The luxury car tears through the night. Jia stares at the silent silver-haired driver, the air thick with tension. She tries to recruit him as a celebrity, but he shoots it down without even blinking, not interested. Since small talk failed, she drops a name, Major Kong Hamchan. Instantly, the driver's icy mask shatters in shock. The atmosphere in the car is off. The director stares out the window in silence, while her so-called fiancé looks anxious, muttering about needing to see her. In the back, Ijin narrows his eyes, sensing something is wrong. Ijin whispers something, and the director smiles knowingly, confirming the man knows the major. Yuna, sitting nearby, looks completely lost, having no clue what their code talk means. The blond man suddenly crosses his legs, his demeanor shifting from anxious to arrogant elegance. The director frowns. This sudden change in attitude rubs her the wrong way. The convoy arrives at the underground garage, and bodyguards immediately swarm in. They escort the VIPs toward a dark door marked authorized personnel only, the air heavy with seriousness. In the lounge, the blond man loosens his tie, complaining irritably. Next to him, the bodyguard stands stone-faced but sweating, the tension in the room becoming suffocating. Outside, two stoic bodyguards stand watch. Inside, the director touches up her lipstick, enjoying a moment of quiet, unaware that danger is right behind her. As she washes her hands, another woman's reflection appears in the mirror. The long-haired intruder stands silently behind her, their eyes meeting in the glass as the air freezes. Before she can react, a gloved hand clamps over her mouth. A cloth soaked in sedative is pressed against her face, terror instantly filling her eyes. The woman in red ruthlessly pins the director to the floor, her movements skilled and brutal. At the door, a man in a hat watches coldly. The extraction team has arrived. Elsewhere, the attackers swiftly secure the scene. The leader, eyes dark and menacing, orders his team to hurry. Unconscious guards kneel on the floor. The operation is terrifyingly silent. The security team finally realizes something is wrong. Seeing their colleagues on the ground, the leader turns pale and roars into his radio, "Block all exits. Check the cameras. She's gone." While others panic, Aijin is already sprinting. His mind races. If they took her, they need a vehicle. They're definitely heading for the parking lot. He flies down the stairs and bursts through the B1 doors. The loud crash echoes through the empty underground space, his eyes cold enough to freeze water. The garage is massive. Aijin sprints while scanning every corner, checking every car. He's racing against the Reaper himself. Suddenly, his instincts scream. He skids to a halt, muscles tensed, staring intensely into a dark corner ahead. Found them. A black sedan is revving up. The driver's eyes bulge in terror seeing Aijin charge out of nowhere, but that won't stop his assault. To cut them off, Aijin vaults over obstacles, pouncing like a cheetah. The kidnappers inside are stunned. Is this guy even human? He can't outrun the wheels, so he uses his body. Amid screeching tires and a violent impact, Aijin is thrown back, but he doesn't make a sound. The black van speeds off. Ignoring his injuries, Aijin drops to one knee and reports, "Target vehicle located. Black minivan. License plate MIB0007. Watching the van disappear into the red glow of the exit, Aijin fights the pain to stand up. He didn't stop them, but he's locked onto their tail. A life-or-death chase unfolds on the highway as the black van desperately flees, the impact so severe someone is thrown from the vehicle. Meanwhile, Aijin jumps onto the roof of a speeding sports car, sprinting under the neon lights with reckless abandon. In the underground lot, kidnappers push a cage containing the VIP, while the blue-haired hothead yells at his crew for being too slow. Aijin ignores everything else and floors the gas pedal, the engine roaring as he charges forward with death-defying resolve. Bang! The car smashes into the crowd like a missile, sending several suited thugs flying instantly. As smoke rises from the explosion, the silver-haired leader stares at the destroyed passage, realizing the relentless pursuer has arrived. The car drifts out of control, the massive momentum tossing people around and leaving the scene in chaos. In this moment of life and death, a memory flashes through Aijin's mind, a meal shared with his comrade, 006. That day, 006 asked him seriously, "You said you do all of this for your family, right?" Aijin's answer back then was unhesitating, "Yes, my family is the only reason I keep going." 006 asked thoughtfully, "Can people really sacrifice themselves for their family?" Then 006 smiled with relief, "If that moment ever comes, I don't think I'd hesitate either." The memory snaps shut as pain floods back. Aijin's fist slams into the enemy, blood splattering on impact. The kidnapper in the driver's seat barely reacts before seeing a blue blur rushing at him with terrifying intensity. With zero hesitation, Aijin smashes through the car window with his own body, shattering the glass instantly. The massive impact sends the car rolling out of control, flinging Aijin into the air with brutal force. The red sedan is totaled. Aijin slams onto the asphalt, his body curled up and motionless. But he stays down for only a second. Covered in blood, Aijin staggers to his feet, a relentless fury burning in his eyes. From a car nearby, the mysterious woman watches it all unfold, a faint, amused smile playing on her lips. A figure sprints desperately across the road as tires screech against the asphalt. This is a frantic, high-stakes chase. The car screeches to a halt, and the team leader explodes, screaming at blood-soaked Aijin. Where did they go? Aijin doesn't waste a breath, forcing his injured body into the back seat. Don't argue. They turned right. Drive. Flooring the gas to follow the GPS, the team leader snaps. I'm dumping you on the roadside. Go home. You're just a student, the leader yells in panic, but Aijin remains stone cold. I'm doing this voluntarily. Seeing Aijin's blood-stained hands, the leader softens for a second. Are you okay? Aijin doesn't even blink, totally fine. Deep down, the leader knows the truth after everything. This dangerous student is the only backup he has right now. Meanwhile, chaos erupts at the mansion. News of Shinjia's kidnapping hits, sending everyone into panic. Hearing that Aijin is already on the chase, the tension spikes. This situation is far more dangerous than they imagined. The car halts at a desolate factory. Just as the leader speaks, he freezes. Something is wrong ahead. Headlights cut through the dark, revealing figures by the shack. A setup that screams trap. No time for backup. The leader steels himself, orders Aijin to stay put, and steps into the danger alone. Predictably, masked thugs emerge from the shadows, weapons drawn and thirsting for blood. Facing a dead end, the leader freezes, but the boy who was supposed to stay in the car is already standing beside him. This isn't a game. The leader screams in terror, but Aijin coldly reminds him, we have no choice. We fight. Blood streaking his face, Aijin almost smirks. I actually prefer this. The leader stares in disbelief. Back at HQ, the higher-ups analyze the data, questioning everything. Is this kid really just a student? He's a pro. As the verdict lands, Aijin stands in the dark, his silhouette resembling a grim reaper. Realizing there's no stopping him, the leader accepts it. If they want to live, they trust each other and fight. A blade flashes in the red light. The enemy lunges. It's do or die right now. The fight explodes. A fist charged with blue energy misses, while a dagger slams into the floor, sparks flying. No talk, just violence. A brutal punch sends the blue-haired thug flying. The scarback figure watches, radiating killing intent. Aijin stands there, suit sharp but stained with blood. His knife glows cold, but his eyes are even sharper. Scene shift. The mercenaries gather at the factory. One mocks his buddy. Seriously? You let a kid take your knife? The mockery continues. SW group hiring kids now? Aijin, covered in blood, stays silent, staring them down with icy rage. Total arrogance. They treat him like a joke. Don't worry, the kid won't survive the night. Just kill him. Aijin kneels, gasping for air, blood dripping from his arm. The last clash clearly took a heavy toll on him. Dirty tactics. While Aijin grapples one, another strikes from above. A blade flashes, and blood sprays into the air. Pain explodes. Aijin takes the hit head-on. Blood sprays, but he refuses to fall, standing his ground over a fallen enemy. 3 killers close in. Aijin wipes blood from his face. His expression shifts. The cornered beast is about to bite back. Kill him! The order is given, but Aijin moves first. He launches into the night, faster than lightning, striking hard. They can't react in time. Aijin's blade pierces their defense. What? Panic cuts off their screams instantly. No fancy moves, just pure lethal efficiency. The blade dances through the crowd, every strike drawing a scream of agony. Aijin's killing intent explodes. His knife moves like a reaper's scythe, leaving enemies clutching their wounds in despair. Shit! The masked men struggle to block, but Aijin's attacks rain down like a storm, completely suffocating them. Metal clashes violently. Every strike aims to kill. This overwhelming pressure, it's not human, let alone a high schooler. With a final scream, the last enemy is blasted back. Aijin stands over them, cold and victorious. It's over. The mercenary's hand trembles violently, gripping his weapon, but unable to lift it. Fear has soaked into his bones. Aijin, face masked in blood, gasps for air. He won, but his body is screaming at its absolute limit. Bodies litter the ground. Aijin stands alone amidst the carnage. A chilling sight that freezes the blood of anyone watching. Uninvited guests crash the party. A woman pushes a wheelchair, her expression ice cold, flanked by a shadowy figure. They realize SW Group is reacting fast. The man in the cap confirms the kidnapping is done, time is running out. Sirens wail outside. Inside, a man in a suit hides, gasping for air, terror written all over his face. Cornered. The kidnappers surround the security team leader. A thug with blue-streaked hair screams in his face, furious at being tracked. Violence erupts instantly. The leader gets smashed into the wall, then choked out by a massive, muscle-bound brute. But the leader fights back. He breaks free and lands a brutal punch right in the thug's face. The stakes rise as a glowing blade appears. The leader doesn't flinch, raising his fist to fight barehanded against steel. Total chaos. Punches, headbutts, and slashing blades fly through the firelit confusion in a fight to the death. A purple-clad assassin strikes. The blonde guard reacts instantly, dodging the lethal blade by a hair's breadth. Suddenly, a blue light cuts the darkness. A glowing purple eye stares coldly. That's enough, a voice freezes the battlefield. A dirty move. The gun presses against the hostage's head. The team leader freezes, shaking with helpless rage. Move and she dies. The gunman's finger tightens on the trigger, eyes manic, forcing the injured guard to stand down. "What now, hero?" they taunt. But instead of despair, the guard lets out a cold, terrifying smirk. Wham! A bone-crushing impact. The blonde fighter coughs up blood, his body reeling from the massive blow. The dust settles. The suit guy stands tall, completely unfazed. "Didn't even move a millimeter," he mocks. Tension peaks in the garage. Radiating a red aura, the guard stands alone against the gun and the hostage, betting his life. The woman in the wheelchair whispers a tearful "I'm sorry." The gun barrel shakes. The execution moment is here. He takes the hit. Standing firm despite the blood, twin blue blades suddenly snap into existence. The counterattack begins. A massive saw blade swings down. The red-haired woman slides underneath, cheating death by mere inches. Clang! The knife skids away. The brave guard finally collapses, bloodied and broken, as enemy boots step into view. The fight erupts instantly. A knife is sent flying. The silver-haired boy crashes to the ground, staring up at the enemy's cold boots. It seems over. The man in the red hat snaps, his face twisting in rage as he screams in disbelief, clearly shocked by the resistance. Giving no chance to breathe, the gun roars. The bullet finds its mark, sending blood spraying into the night air. The massive impact sends him flying, his body slamming hard onto the wet ground like a broken doll with a dull thud. Just then, Aigen steps in, shielding the wounded. His eyes are cold as he commands, "Run! Don't look back!" Taking on the danger alone. Ignoring the blood on his face, the man grits his teeth and sprints for his life, eyes filled with fear and desperation. The scene shifts to a dim container warehouse. The kidnapped executive wakes up, head splitting, letting out a painful groan. Memories flood back, pinned down in the dark, the suffocating terror. The helplessness of that moment consumes her instantly. Before she can scream, a hand covers her mouth. The silver-haired boy beside her, covered in bruises, signals sharply for silence. She asks where they are in a panic, while Sukju forces his battered body to stand guard, scanning the surroundings without rest. Reality sinks in. She's really been kidnapped. Sukju whispers reassuringly, "Don't be afraid. Help is on the way." But the situation is grim. Sukju grits his teeth. It's a dead end, and the enemies are armed. They are sitting ducks. She can't understand why this is happening. Sukju stares into the darkness, worrying not just about safety, but the conspiracy behind it. Seeing the blood soaking his back, she can't help but ask. Sukju claims he's fine, but his trembling body betrays him. In the dim light, she realizes he's not an official bodyguard, but a student in uniform. Shock is written all over her face. Damn it! Footsteps approach. The female assassin finds their hiding spot, sneering as she orders them to come out. The assassin loses patience, suggesting, "Stop wasting time. Let's just kill them." The shadow of death fills the room instantly. Sukju hears them and clenches his fists. Since there's no escape, he decides to face them alone to protect her. He slowly stands up. Her eyes widen in protest, but she can only watch helplessly as the injured student walks toward the gun. Facing the dark muzzle, Sukju raises his hands in surrender. The blood on his body contrasts tragically with the resolve in his eyes. The female boss smirks, gun raised at the injured team leader, mocking him. "Think you're the main character? Think you won't die?" Gun in his face, the team leader doesn't flinch. Suddenly, the woman senses something wrong and screams, "Wait!" Before she finishes, a shadow strikes. She screams in pain as her arm is slashed instantly. Too fast to track, another heavy blow lands. She's sent flying, her weapon knocked from her hand. The tables turn instantly. She hits the ground hard. The high schooler she mocked is now the predator. Humiliated by a kid, she flies into a rage, cursing as she swings her blade in a desperate counterattack. Her attack is vicious, aiming for the kill, confident this will finish him off. But in a split second, a fist slams into her with terrifying force. The punch nearly breaks her. Her hand throbs, body trembling uncontrollably as the power gap sinks in. Realizing she can't win up close, she pulls a gun, aiming for a cowardly shot to end it. But before she can pull the trigger, a hand crushes the barrel, forcing the gun right back at her. Aijin holds the gun steady, covered in blood but unshakable. The cold barrel is now leveled right at her forehead. She bets the kid won't kill, taunting him. But before she finishes, Aijin pulls the trigger without a second thought. The bullet grazes her, blood spraying. But what breaks her isn't the pain, it's that he didn't even blink. Those dead, calm eyes don't belong to a student. Her mind screams, "This is no ordinary person." Deep-seated fear resurfaces. Recognizing the fighting style and those eyes, she screams the name in terror. "Jean?" Identity revealed, Aijin remains cold as ice, looking down at the completely broken assassin. The fight isn't over. Aijin displays overwhelming power again, pinning the resisting enemy to the ground. Elsewhere, the real mastermind steps out, looking at the mess with a cold, malicious gaze. Disgusted by incompetence, he cleans house himself. His brutal methods suggest he might be even more dangerous than Aijin. A devastating kick sends shockwaves through the room. The enemies finally realize their mistake. This is no ordinary bodyguard. The security leader, bleeding heavily, stands his ground. He bought precious time, just enough for the VIP to escape. Meanwhile, the purple-haired man walks through the night, a chilling calm washing over him as he anticipates the coming violence. Back in the warehouse, the villain gloats. He believes the game is over, convinced his partner has already captured the fleeing woman. He arrogantly assumes the annoying brat is already suffering a fate worse than death. Overconfidence is always the first step to the grave. To crush any remaining hope, the villain pulls the trigger without warning. The muzzle flashes. He intends to leave no witnesses. Just in time, a blue blur crashes into the fray. Aijin tears through the enemies like a beast, sending blood spraying with every strike. Another gunshot rings out, shocking the villain. It's the silver-haired man 006, standing like a bloody ghost, his gun smoking. Panic sets in. The villain sweats bullets, confused why Aijin is here and what happened to his partner, who was supposed to stop them. The silver-haired man doesn't hesitate. He opens fire. Every bullet is fueled by vengeance, slamming precisely into the enemy. The overwhelming firepower even surprises Aijin. Explosions and gunfire engulf the room as the situation spirals into chaos. Aijin doesn't stay idle, diving into close-quarters combat amidst the hail of bullets. He moves so fast he's a blur, launching enemies before they can react. Silence falls with the final shot. Surrounded by bodies, Aijin stands in the center of the bloodbath, looking like a cold-blooded reaper. The surviving security team watches in horror. A high school student, killing with lethal precision and zero hesitation. Outside, the rich heiress is traumatized by the brutality, covering her ears tightly, her eyes wide with sheer terror. Watching Aijen's professional demeanor, the security leader asks his subordinate, "You think that kid is definitely a pro, right?" As the SWAT team finally arrives, the subordinate nods grimly. This is absolutely not the work of a normal student. Police quickly cordon off the scene. Bodies litter the ground. The fierce battle turned this place into a living hell. The cleanup begins. The SW executive is safe, but shaken to her core. When asked by the police, she can barely manage to say she's okay. But she recovers fast, immediately pointing out the last kidnapper hiding in the crowd. The nightmare is finally over. Crisis averted, chaos remains. The SW executive takes charge, arms crossed, ordering a status check on the team and that kid. Amidst the cleanup, the bloodied security team leader finds the executive. Despite their injuries, their first words are of mutual concern. She scolds him for his recklessness, but he shrugs it off. To him, saving the VIP with just these injuries is a victory. Before leaving, the tough leader asks for a favor. The executive, still shaken and sweating, is caught off guard by his request. He doesn't want his family to worry about his battered state, asking her to cover for him. She agrees, touched by his thoughtfulness. Personal matters settled, he orders her to get treated immediately. It's a moment of mutual respect forged in survival. Flashbacks of the chaos haunt him. The overwhelming pressure from that high schooler left even a veteran like him paralyzed. "You did well." The boy's validation echoes. The team leader stands battered, his expression a mix of shock and bruised pride. Outside, sunset bleeds into the sky. Jean, helmet on, watches silently from the shadows, ensuring their safety before vanishing. In a high-rise, the masterminds converse. The blonde muscle cares little for the failed kidnapping, hinting at a darker agenda. Watching the chaos on screen, the boss smirks. The goal was never abduction, but to instill fear and halt SW's expansion. Tension fills the interrogation room. The captured mercenary trembles, dropping a bombshell name, that monster. Mercenary Jean. Regret washes over her. Had she known he was there, she would have never taken the job. He is a taboo in their world. The interrogator plays dumb, but she snaps. She may not know his face, but those cold, dead eyes are unmistakable. She stands her ground against skepticism. Rumors say he's dead or retired, but she knows the war machine is hiding within SW. It defies logic. Why would a top-tier mercenary, a legend of the battlefield, stoop to playing bodyguard for a corporation? At the hospital, the SW executive recovers. Despite her safety, the team leader stands guard at the door, vigilant and unmoving. She urges him to rest, but he refuses. Injured arm or not, his stubborn loyalty keeps him rooted to his post. Staring out the window, guilt consumes him. The attackers were foreign pros. He swears never to let such an intel failure happen again. The pieces fit together. Anonymous clients, layered contracts. Connecting it to Yuna's case, she realizes SW is being systematically targeted. In the hospital room, the executive reflects. She realizes the student was even more terrifying in real combat than in training. She confronts the security chief. He's obviously not just a student. The chief agrees, suspecting even Grandpa knows the truth. Flashbacks of the rainy battle terrify them. Broken ribs and injuries, yet Aijen still fought with impossible precision. She listens in disbelief. He took out 5 armed men before you woke up? Logic says it's impossible, but Aijen did it. Sitting up, she stares at Aijen's file. Her gaze sharpens. This boy's background is definitely not simple. Meanwhile, silver-haired Sutju is already up. Despite the bandages, he's dressed and ready to leave, eyes sharp. Yuna catches him trying to leave. With tears in her eyes, she begs him to stay since he's still badly hurt. They argue heatedly. Sutju insists on recovering at home, using the doctor as an excuse, leaving Yuna frustrated. Yuna hits him with reality. How will you explain those injuries to mom and dad? Sukju freezes, realizing the problem. Surprisingly, he has a cover story ready. I'll say it was a training accident. Even the bodyguard is impressed by his quick lie. The female executive steps in, ordering the guard out. The atmosphere instantly turns heavy. The real interrogation begins. Alone now, she makes an offer. Stop following Yuna. Come work for me after graduation. She can't offer you a future. She speaks of Yuna with disdain. She's just a little girl with an inheritance, unfit for this cruel adult world. Sukju cuts her off, defending himself. But I'm different. I can protect her. He stands firm on his capability. Taking a deep breath, he stops being defensive and challenges her. I have a question for you. She thinks he wants a deal, but Sukju interrupts. He's not interested in rewards, he's asking about something else. She suddenly shifts tone, teasing him? Not dating? Guess it's just a one-sided crush on her part then. Back to business, she asserts dominance. Anyway, come to me after graduation. You know it's the right choice for the family. Sukju falls silent, visibly conflicted. The executive smiles, knowing her words struck a nerve. I'll think about it. With that, Sukju ends the conversation, stepping out into the light but leaving with a heavy mind. Back home, Grandpa and Dayun are panicked, asking about his training injuries. Aijin, face battered, looks tired and tries to play it down. His sister asks if it's serious. Aijin lays his scarred, battered hands on the table and calls her name to distract her. Those hands tell a brutal story. Grandpa asks seriously if he actually likes bodyguard work. Aijin stares at his cup and admits, a little. Grandpa gently reminds him, he's young, he can always choose a different path. I'll support whatever you choose. Those words lift the weight off Aijin's shoulders. His eyes brighten, and a genuine smile finally breaks through. Aijin nods in agreement. But Grandpa immediately starts overthinking if he's being too nagging. Dayun sits there, totally confused by the sudden shift in mood. Cut to the mercenary camp, tension spikes. News breaks out. 032 has gone rogue. He heard the rumor that Aijin killed 006, and he's snapped. The ground is soaked in blood. The camp mercenaries look at the carnage, cursing 032 for losing his mind and going on a rampage over his brother's death. 032, in a red hoodie, stands at the airport, staring coldly at the crowd. To him, family is useless trash. The hunt begins. Alone in his room at twilight, Aijin sits on the edge of the bed, tightly gripping his brass knuckles. The warm light can't melt the cold tension in his gut. A memory flashes. A woman screaming his codename Jain. Aijin's eyes narrow. If she knows that name, she must be connected to the camp. Sudden ringing shatters the silence. Aijin glances at the screen. It's Shin Yuna calling. Aijin puts away the knuckles and steadies his breathing. Even in safety, he's always ready for a fight. At the convenience store, Aijin piles up a mountain of kimbap. Glasses Jaehyung stares in disbelief. I know you're hungry, but isn't this overkill? Yuna just smiles and tells him to eat up. She gently unwraps the food for him, voice soft with concern. I heard you got hurt pretty bad. Are you okay? Aijin holds up his bandaged hands, claiming he's fine. Yuna pouts, complaining she tried to visit, but was blocked at the door, probably Shinjia's doing. Aijin munches on the food, explaining Grandpa made him rest today. Yuna watches him being so obedient, her eyes softening with a mix of affection and deep thought. Yuna praises him for saving Jia. But Aijin keeps a straight face and dumps all the credit on the security team leader. Yuna blinks, totally caught off guard. Huh? Aijin spins a serious tale. The team leader took a bullet and distracted the enemy to save them. He claims he was useless without him. Yuna listens, flushed, totally buying the heroic story. Jaehyung strokes his chin, analyzing the facts, agreeing the team leader played a huge role. Aijin nods along enthusiastically, desperate to keep the spotlight off himself. We're a team. Protecting the client is all that matters. Ijin drops this professional line to seal the conversation. Jae-hyung nods, unable to argue with that logic. While the team jokes around, Liam stares at his phone, letting out a heavy sigh of frustration. Despite his teammates' worry, Liam insists he has to go to the PC cafe to help out, injured hand or not. The girl looks at his hand with tears in her eyes, but Liam grits his teeth. He's being pressured to perform regardless of the pain. Meanwhile, Dahyun stands outside a restaurant, thinking about buying some meat to help her brother recover from his injury. Back in class, girls are gossiping that Ijin hasn't been at school because of a hand injury, catching Dahyun completely off guard. The girls sigh in relief that his handsome face is safe, and Dahyun quietly agrees anything but the face. While one girl gushes about Ijin's popularity, another snaps back, clearly annoyed by the fangirling. Cut to the dark alley. Dahyun is cornered and terrified, but the red hoodie steps in, his eyes burning with murderous rage. The bully leader screams insults, unable to believe someone is challenging them, while Dahyun watches in shock, realizing the situation is escalating. Dahyun tries to apologize to diffuse the tension, but the bullies just snap at her, furious at the interruption. Dahyun awkwardly says hi, confusing the thugs for a second before they start shouting defensive nonsense. Turns out the guy just asked them for food. When Dahyun asks the bullies to leave, they get offended and aggressive. The bullies finally stomp off. The masked stranger turns to Dahyun and asks if she's okay, startling her. He stares intensely, asking about injuries. Terrified by his appearance, Dahyun trembles and can barely answer. Just as Dahyun fears the worst, he awkwardly asks if she can buy him some food, leaving her completely stunned. They settle down at a convenience store table, the tension of the alley fading into an awkward silence. He gulps down water desperately. Dahyun watches him with pity, realizing he looks her age and must be starving. He lets out a satisfied sigh and actually laughs, leaving Dahyun completely confused by the sudden mood shift. He scratches his head sheepishly, explaining he lost his wallet right after arriving in the country and hasn't eaten in days. Dahyun suggests going to the embassy, confusing him further. Realizing it's getting late, she remembers her brother is waiting and prepares to leave. Inside the convenience store, Dahyun slams a stack of cash on the table without a word, leaving the hooded guy completely bewildered. Dropping a casual "buy something if you're hungry," she walks away, leaving the mystery man sitting alone in the cold silence. Under the hood, his violet eyes stare intensely, his killer instinct momentarily shaken by this unexpected act of kindness. The scene shifts violently to a bloody battlefield. Amidst roaring gunfire, the former 001 ruthlessly reaps lives, a brutal past that refuses to fade. In a dim room, a masked mercenary blocks the exit, while a terrified couple cowers on the floor, the man desperately shielding the woman from the gun. The woman's eyes widen in sheer terror, clutching her clothes, while the mercenary stands mercilessly at the door, death just a breath away. Target must be eliminated. The orange-haired killer closes in with lethal intent, unaware that his prey is anything but ordinary. Just as the killer closes in, a realization strikes in the darkness. 001. The intruder freezes, his eyes wide with sudden terror. Before he can react, the blue-haired man is struck down by immense force, crashing to the floor, groaning in pain while clutching a blue device. He jolts awake. Ijin sits up in bed, drenched in sweat and gasping for air, realizing the bloody chaos was just a relentless nightmare. His bare feet touch the cold floor, grounding him instantly. The panic fades, replaced by his usual sharp, composed gaze. Hearing him move, Grandpa and Dahyun turn around in the kitchen, surprised. "Ijin? Why are you up? You should be resting more." Ijin insists on going to school, but Grandpa frantically urges him to rest and heal. Seeing their worry, even the tough soldier has to give in. Grandpa rushes off to cover a shift, leaving Dahyun to look at her brother with a mix of confusion and deep concern. Then she turns with a sweet smile, gesturing to the table. "Since you're up, You'd better finish all the breakfast I made? No leftovers. Walking the streets after the meal, Aijen's eyes shift back to soldier mode, scanning the peaceful morning city with hidden alertness. His phone buzzes a classmate asking if he's coming to school for a game. The ordinary life is calling out to him. He casually declines the invite, a faint, cold smirk playing on his lips, while a figure in a red hoodie stands silently nearby, creating an eerie vibe. Aijen stops at his tracks, his gaze locking onto the red hoodie. Even across the railing, a strange tension begins to thicken in the air. His eyes sharpen instantly. Aijen launches into a sprint, tearing towards that direction, shattering the morning's peace in a heartbeat. In the pouring rain, 006 sprints desperately down the street, as if chased by death itself. Meanwhile, Aijen waits in the shadows of the construction site, eyes cold, tracking his prey. 006 steps into the abandoned building, unaware he's walking straight into a trap. In the dark, 006 freezes. A gun is already quietly pointed at his head. Tension spikes. No talk. Chaos erupts instantly. Gunfire and explosions tear through the silence of the ruins. Wait, it's 032 waiting there. He smirks at Aijen. Long time no see, 001. 032 mocks him, assuming the camp set Aijen to clean up the mess. Pure provocation. Aijen has no patience for this. He glares with intense fury. Shut your mouth. 032 snaps back, calling Aijen a traitor too. The standoff gets even more volatile. At the mention of 006, 032's gaze shifts. He hesitates, recalling a painful bond. A warm memory of his only family flashes by, shattered instantly by the blast of gunfire. Direct hits. Aijen stumbles back, groaning in pain as he hits the ground. 032 looks down at his fallen leader, thinking it's all over. Cold and ruthless. But Aijen isn't done. He lunges from the ground, knife flashing straight for 032's face. 032 reacts fast, blocking the blade. The air shrieks as sparks fly. Enraged, 032 gets excited. Blue-purple energy flares as he strikes back hard. Fists collide. The massive impact slams together, shaking the very air around them. But experience wins. Aijen's blade presses against 032's throat. He mocks him. You've gotten slow. Aijen delivers the verdict cold. You're just a target now. He strikes a devastating blow. Even then, 032 staggers back up. Purple killing aura flares around him. It's not over yet. Aijen clutches his bleeding side, his stare piercing through the gloom. Blood stains the floor, but his fist clenches tight, radiating raw power. Cut to the peaceful school. Blissfully unaware of the bloodshed, Da-Yun sits in class, worrying only if her brother is eating his meals. He needs to eat to heal. Her innocent thought is shattered by a blood-red scream and the deafening sound of impact. Back to the carnage. 032 strikes with fury, metal clashing against metal. Aijen is forced onto the defensive, barely absorbing the crushing impact. Aijen seizes the opening, his fist slamming into 032's arm with a burst of energy. 032 stumbles back, grit and rage etched on his face. They break apart. Blood soaks Aijen's shoulder, yet he presses on. 032, knife in hand, demands to know if Aijen snitched to the camp, confused by his sudden voice. 032 lashes out, branding Aijen the traitor who killed 006. Aijen lowers his head, blood on his lip, eyes heavy with unspoken pain and conflict. I won't answer! Aijen snaps, launching a lightning-fast strike. He cuts off the conversation with raw violence, channeling all his frustration into the blow. The fist connects squarely, distorting 032's face. Aijen moves relentlessly, the sheer impact sending his former comrade flying backward. No time to recover. 032 crashes down, coughing up a mouthful of blood. He stares up in agony, his defense completely shattered. The duel is decided. Aijin stands cold and distant. 032 crawls near a fallen gun, staring up in shock and terror at his former comrade's overwhelming power. Refusing to yield, 032 grabs the gun. But Aijin is faster, diving like a predator and closing the distance in a heartbeat. The gun roars, spitting fire. Aijin slides underneath the shot, dodging by inches and silencing the resistance instantly. Aijin pins him to the ground, dominance absolute. Still defiant, 032 glares and asks, "Are you following orders, or is this revenge for 006? Aijin remains silent. 032 seizes the hesitation though not back. He rolls into cover and levels his gun at Aijin's exposed back. Gunfire erupts. Bullets spray across the room. 032 unleashes a relentless barrage from cover, desperate to kill. Aijin gasps for air behind cover. Realizing he can't win, 032 curses and retreats, firing a parting volley that tears into Aijin's frame. Despite the bullets in his back, Aijin stands unwavering. Locking onto the fleeing 032, he ignores the agony and hunts his prey through the shadows. His body finally reaches its limit. Aijin collapses to his knees, clutching his torn abdomen. Cold sweat drips as he fights to stay conscious through the pain. Cut back to the peaceful classroom. A classmate dials Aijin's number, waiting for an answer. "Hello?" he asks, unaware that silence is the only response he'll get. Aijin corners himself in the classroom, his expression deadly serious. He demands an immediate trace. Just like last time, his voice dripping with urgency. Stepping into the hallway, he confirms the stakes. He can't call for backup on this one. He is completely on his own. While Aijin calmly commands the operation, his comrade 032 clutches a bleeding wound in the dark. Despite the agony, he grits his teeth and agrees to the plan. Cut to the streets at dusk. The red hoodie, 006, is reeling. He realizes that if Aijin had wanted him dead back then, he would have been killed 1,000,000 times over. It doesn't make sense. Aijin's skills are sharper than ever, so why spare him? Why not take revenge? The mercy confuses him more than a blade would. Memories clash bloody battles and the rain versus the warmth of a shared campfire. The nostalgia stings, and he clenches his fist to physically suppress the emotions. Bad luck. A group of street thugs recognizes him. They approach with mocking grins, calling him trash, completely oblivious that they're walking into a death trap. He tries to walk past them, head down. But the sheer killing intent radiating from him freezes the thugs in place, terror striking them instantly. Cut to the aftermath. The red hoodie stands on a ledge, looking down coldly. The three thugs are sprawled on the ground, beaten unconscious. It wasn't even a warm-up. Rounding a corner, he bumps right into a short-haired girl. Still radiating danger, he freezes. She stares at the masked figure in surprise, tension hanging in the air. She points. "You are?" And he panics. Thinking his cover is blown, he flails awkwardly, but her reaction is just innocent confusion, not fear. Turns out, she just wants to pay him back. Da-yoon hands him her only bill, thanking him for his help. The hardened mercenary is completely disarmed by her kindness. Somehow, they end up eating at a convenience store. He scolds her between bites for giving all her money to a stranger, shifting from assassin to worried big brother. He grumbles that he didn't expect the money back. But Da-yoon insists, smiling brightly, saying debts must be paid. Her pure logic leaves him speechless. She asks his age. He hesitates before mumbling. 17. Her face lights up dash. "We're the same age!" And the barrier between them instantly vanishes. Knowing their peers, Da-yoon drops the formalities. She excitedly asks if he's a foreigner. He awkwardly plays along, lying that he's just on vacation. Hearing he travels alone, her eyes widen in awe. When he casually mentions visiting over 20 countries, she's completely dazzled by a world she's never seen. She assumes he loves traveling. He goes quiet. His travels were missions of blood and death. He taps his foot, a heavy bitterness settling in his chest. Walking away, his silhouette is lonely against the sunset. The city lights are warm, but his world is cold. That brief moment of normal life feels like a fragile dream. The warmth is shattered instantly. Outside the store, his injured comrade, 032, watches them like a hawk, a cold smirk forming on his face. Target acquired. Inside the store, oblivious Dayun strikes up a conversation with the stranger in the red hoodie, met only with silence. The red hoodie speaks heavily of finishing a job, leaving Dayun thinking it's just ordinary work. Mid-conversation, the red hoodie's eyes snap wide, instantly sensing a murderous intent closing in. Violence erupts instantly. A figure is blasted against the wall, leaving Dayun screaming in terror. The victim groans in agony, while a fist crackling with terrifying blue energy charges up for the next blow. With zero mercy, the devastating punch lands squarely on the silver-haired man, crushing him. The silver-haired man realizes who hit him. Eyes shaking in terror, it's Agent 001, Aijin. Aijin shows no mercy, diving down with killing intent to end his opponent right here and now. The overwhelming pressure leaves the opponent helpless on the ground. Aijin's assault is an unstoppable storm. Seeing his comrade in danger, the red hoodie curses and launches a kick to interrupt Aijin's assault. Aijin halts, radiating cold fury, only to realize Dayun is standing right behind him, frozen in fear. The red hoodie yells at Aijin to take the fight elsewhere, but then Dayun trembles and calls out, "Appa?" The word brother freezes the red hoodie in his tracks. Dayun stares at the violence, unable to comprehend. Back turned to his sister, Aijin coldly commands her to leave immediately, desperate to hide this side of himself. Seeing her brother's bloodied face and murderous eyes, Dayun recalls a traumatic memory and panics. The red hoodie asks in disbelief how they know each other. Dayun shields Aijin. "He is my big brother." Dayun frantically explains it's a misunderstanding, that he's usually gentle. The red hoodie is utterly stunned. Learning the truth, the red hoodie lets out a long sigh, the deadly tension instantly turning into sheer awkwardness. The red hoodie calls the situation ridiculous, while Aijin desperately begs Dayun to stay away from him. The air freezes. Aijin is too ashamed to look at his sister, while her eyes are filled only with worry. On the sunset-lit street, Jean and his former comrade stand back to back. A casual all good hangs in the air, barely masking the thick, awkward tension between them. The guy in the hoodie loses his cool, glaring back at Jean. 001, does that girl really think you're her brother? Whose stupid idea was this little charade? Jin's eyes turn ice cold. Ignoring the taunt, he counters sharply, answer me first. Are you still in contact with the camp? Are you here for them, or for revenge? Hit by the question, the hoodie guy clutches his chest and snaps, does it matter? Why keep asking the same thing? Jean remains silent, his gaze heavy with pressure. Finally, the hoodie guy grits his teeth and confesses. I came alone when I heard you killed 006. Not for loyalty to the camp, I just wanted revenge. His voice drops, heavy with grief. We never got along, but in that hellhole, 006 was the only family I had. I did this for him. The hoodie guy covers his face, unraveling. I don't know why I'm like this. We barely spoke outside missions, but when I heard he died, I just lost it. Watching his former comrade break down, Jean suddenly speaks, dropping a bombshell. 006 isn't dead. He's alive. The hoodie guy snaps his head up, eyes wide with shock. Jean explains calmly, he faked his death and went into hiding so the camp wouldn't hunt him down. Stunned by the revelation, the hoodie guy freezes, cold sweat trickling down. No wonder. You kept asking if I was with the camp to check if I could be trusted? Jin's gaze is steady. I had to be sure. You know the rules. If you were still loyal, you'd report him instantly, family or not. Overwhelmed by the truth, the hoodie guy lowers his head and lets out a dry, manic laugh. Ha, ha, ha. He feels like an absolute fool. Composing himself, the hoodie guy stares at Jean. And you? Why are you staying here? Jean licks his lips and replies simply, I just came home. Still incredulous, the hoodie guy points a finger. So you're really playing brother? Did you lose your memory too? Did you forget everything? My memories came back a while ago. Jin's eyes darken, a faint, resigned smile on his lips. I haven't fully betrayed them, but I have things to protect now. His gaze turns steel hard as he recalls the turning point. It wasn't for nothing. It was simply because I couldn't follow their orders anymore. Just as the tension eases, the hoodie guy asks, by the way, tell me how you met Dayun. Hearing his sister's name from a mercenary, Jin's gaze instantly shifts. Chapter 55 cover, How do you know Dayun? That question ignited Jin's rage. The fight is about to start. Terrified by the sudden murderous intent, the hoodie guy stumbles back, sweating buckets. Whoa! Calm down. It's a misunderstanding. She saved my life a few days ago. The dust settles. The purple-haired merc stands frozen in shock, while Jin finally exhales, wiping sweat from his brow. The nightmare is over. The purple-haired merc narrows his eyes. The killing intent has vanished, but the lingering pressure feels even heavier than during the fight. Silence fills the wrecked room. Without a word, they start cleaning up the debris together, an awkward but peaceful truce amidst the chaos. Breaking the silence, the purple-haired merc grips his drink and asks the question weighing on his mind. Is 006 actually okay? The brutal memory flashes back, a motorcycle slamming into a car in the pouring rain, exploding into a ball of fire to fake a death. Jin sips his drink, eyes dark. As long as he's alive, that's enough. But his friend protests. He literally tried to kill you. Jin admits to betraying the camp. The purple-haired merc cuts him off sharply. You betrayed the organization, not us. There's a difference. He continues intensely. That's exactly what 006 said. The 001 who protected us through hell would never betray his family. The truth comes out. On the day the camp ordered Jin's execution, 006 and the others refused to follow orders. A cold smirk forms on his face. Trust me, they hate the camp way more than they could ever hate you. Jin asks to contact 006, but gets shut down. Impossible. Unless he reaches out first, he's a ghost to everyone. Guilt washes over the purple-haired merc. I almost died coming here without knowing the truth. I had no idea he was alive. Jin reveals the painful logic. He kept his distance, so the camp couldn't use you as bait. He's protecting you. Thinking of 006's sacrifice, he looks down somberly. He'd rather die than let us get hurt. That's just who he is. Then, a shocking revelation. The camp is keeping your survival an absolute secret. Jin freezes, eyes wide. Only the top brass knows, he explains. That's why they can't send a massive army after you without raising questions. Jin demands, how did you find out? His ally points to the shattered helmet debris. 006 left the clues behind. Preparing to leave, he outlines the plan. I'll head somewhere else and leave false trails to throw the camp off your scent. As they stand together, they fail to notice a girl hiding behind a pillar nearby, peeking out with terrified eyes. Cut to a hair salon. Seeing a rare flicker of emotion on Jin's face, his friend teases, wow, can the legendary 001 actually make a face like that? At twilight, clutching his wound, 032 asks to say goodbye to Ijin's sister. Ijin freezes, but before he can eject, 032 worries that leaving without a word might confuse her. Feeling indebted to her kindness, 032 decides he must say goodbye. Ijin is left walking alone into the sunset, his long shadow reflecting the weight on his mind. Meanwhile, the girl asks 006 if they knew each other. He breaks into a cold sweat, awkwardly admitting it, but his nervousness instantly makes her suspicious. Faced with her questions, 006 stammers, but suddenly his expression shifts. His panic is replaced by a sharp, golden gaze as a dangerous instinct awakens within him. Classmates excitedly gossip about how pretty Ijin's sister is. Sukju, the silver-haired heir, listens with a look of utter boredom and disdain. The excitement vanishes instantly. Sikju's cold attitude kills the mood, leaving the girl frozen in shock and awkward silence. Night falls over the quiet apartment, but a bloody tissue in the trash can screams of violence. Someone here is hiding a painful secret. 006 curls up next to a first aid kit, pain sharp in his side. In the silence, a realization hits him. Camp is deliberately keeping his survival a secret. He looks up, eyes sharp with suspicion. He can't figure out the organization's game. Suddenly, a noise from the darkness snaps his attention back to reality. A mysterious figure lurks in the dim corridor. Piecing together the intel, a cruel realization dawns on him. Does 001 actually have a sister? Bloody images flash through his mind. Killer Aiden is about to breach the door when a sudden noise from inside stops him cold, putting him on high alert. Aiden aims his weapon without hesitation, the barrel glowing blue. Suddenly, the door opens, and a lazy voice drifts out. "Whoa, calm down." Before he can react, a shadow crashes down. The stitch-faced monster, Aiden, lands heavily, causing the man in red to scream in terror. "Aiden?" Aiden looms over him, eyes radiating murder as he orders the gun down. The man in red panics, sweating profusely. "You escaped camp yourself. What are you doing here?" Ignoring the excuses, Aiden demands to know if the traitor has been found. The man in red trembles, gun shaking in his hand, trying to act tough as the tension explodes. Talk is over. Aiden's stitched hand glows with eerie light as a blade materializes. The man in red's eyes go wide. Death has arrived. No chance to fight back. Aiden pins him down like a beast, blasting energy straight into his chest. The man in red contorts in agony, letting out a stifled scream. Aiden stares down at his prey with a cruel grin. Since he ignored camp's orders, there's only one outcome. Aiden is here to execute him. Writhing in pain, the man in red demands to know if the organization sent him. Aiden tilts his head, baring sharp teeth, and casually confirms the mission, but then pauses. Before he can finish, a heavy fist slams into the man's face. Blood splatters as he's sent flying, completely blindsided by the surprise attack. The battle erupts. Red Hood takes a direct hit, blood spraying everywhere as a pained scream tears through the air. White Hair isn't spared either, sent flying across the room. Scarface stands in the shadows like a demon mocking, "Your reflexes are pretty good." Blood gushes through his fingers. Red Hood clutches his wound, gritting his teeth as he demands to know what this maniac is doing. Scarface grins savagely, admitting he's been waiting for this chance. Though wounded, Red Hood shoots back. "Admit it, you didn't act sooner because you were terrified of 006. The truth hits a nerve. Scarface snaps, rage exploding as he moves to crush the loudmouth in front of him. Killing intent boils over. A purple flash strikes, and before Red Hood can react, a lethal attack pierces through. It's a desperate brawl. Red Hood counters with an energy blast to Scarface's chest, but it barely slows the monster down. Absolute power gap. A heavy fist crushes into his gut, and Red Hood collapses, completely out of the fight. Red Hood curls up on the floor, gasping in pain. His silenced pistol skids away, lying uselessly on the ground. Scarface casually picks up the gun, eyes filled with contempt. "You arrogant bastards are all the same, even at death's door." He aims the gun at White Hair, ranting about their special treatment. Bloody but smiling, White Hair taunts, "Want special treatment? You should have improved your skills first." Bang! With a gunshot, Scarface stomps on White Hair's chest, sick of the mockery. The scene turns brutal. Scarface grinds his teeth. "Trying to piss me off? Useless. You're dying here regardless." White Hair glares back with the eyes of a beast. Another heavy blow. White Hair hits the wall like a ragdoll. Scarface advances with a blade, giving him no room to breathe. Bullets fly in the confined space, sparks showering everywhere. White Hair rolls desperately, struggling on the line between life and death. Seeing his prey gasping against the wall, Scarface crouches down, wearing a cruel smile like a cat playing with a mouse. The corridor is smeared with bloody footprints. Scarface raises his gun impatiently. "You're so annoying. Let's not make this a headache for both of us." He strolls slowly along the trail of blood, voice cold. "Where do you think you can run with a body like that?" Caught at last. A glowing hand pins the wound down hard as Scarface delivers his ultimatum. "Stay still, and I'll make it quick." Suddenly, a hand reaches out and grabs the gun barrel. Scarface's expression shifts instantly. "What?" The impact rattles his brain. The bespectacled enemy crumples, face twisted in sheer agony. Aijin moves like lightning. The enemy has no time to react, screaming as the pressure crushes him. A figure emerges in the dim hallway, radiating an overwhelming, chilling aura that freezes the air. His eyes widen as speed is inhuman. The next second, cold steel tears through flesh. Recognizing his old comrade, the killer screams 001 and lunges at the silver-haired traitor. Chaos erupts. Former allies become mortal enemies, bone-crunching impacts filling the room. A ruthless energy slash lands. He coughs up blood, his body nearly shattering from the blow. Another heavy hit. The blue-haired fighter collapses, strength drained, writhing in pain. Aijin is furious. His fist, glowing with blue energy, smashes into the enemy with crushing force. The punch connects solidly. A terrifying shockwave erupts, sending blood spraying into the air. The fight ends. The enemy is left a bloody mess, eyes filled with despair and disbelief. Dust settles. 006 stands amidst the wreckage, a heavy, deathly silence filling the room. Bloody comrades question each other, wondering how far fate will push them into this hell. Scene shift. Aijin arrives holding a black plastic bag, bringing vibes of daily life instead of death. Seeing his old friend shivering, Aijin says simply, "My sister said you looked hungry, so I brought food." The silver-haired guy is stunned. Holding the sushi, he wonders if this is some twisted punishment. He chuckles bitterly, asking the former war machine, "Did you hit your head or something, 001? Clutching the warmth, his gaze softens. Memories back. Is this who you really were all along? Meanwhile, SW Group executives scheme, thinking they've caught a big fish in their net. To protect Aijin, 006 accepts the collar. His thank you is a final farewell to freedom. Inside the interrogation room, the air is thick with tension. The security chief stares down the collared man, demanding to know if this mess ties back to his past. Expecting punishment, he's stunned when the boss drops the subject, offering support instead. He bows his head, relief washing over him. Alone in the empty conference room, the old man reflects. He was curious why the kid asked for help, but never expected him to take down a criminal single-handedly. The aide drops a bombshell, bullet holes everywhere. This wasn't a brawl, it was a war zone. The old man sinks into a heavy silence. Back in the SW Group lobby, Gene stands still in his signature green sweatshirt, calmly watching the sharp executive walk away. Memory flashes back to that bloody night. The blue-haired boy's eyes glow with a feral golden light, standing over a pool of blood. 006 was covered in blood, his mind cracking under the strain as he laughed maniacally. His teammate begged him to hold on, promising a safe haven. Bleeding out on the floor, the madman is stubborn as hell. He refuses a hospital, insisting he can patch himself up with just basic first aid. His partner panics. Injuries this bad need a doctor. But the wounded man refuses. A hospital record would lead the camp straight to them. Blood-soaked 006 drops a crazy plan. He's going back to the camp. His partner's eyes widen in shock. It's a suicide mission. Cornered, the gray-haired teammate analyzes the situation. The hit was ordered, but the killer had a personal grudge. Maybe that's their way out. Gene decides to gamble everything. Instead of hiding, he'll play dumb and ask the camp why they want him dead. One wrong move, and it's over. 006 is betting too. The camp thinks he's dead, so his sudden return might actually be the perfect cover. It's crazy logic, but it just might work. Jean realizes it's the only way. If he hides now, the camp will dig deeper and expose 006. To save his brother, he has to step into the light. Looking at the battered Jean, 006 makes his choice. Jean saved him once. Now he'll draw the fire and pay that debt, even if it costs him his life. This is goodbye. Lying in a pool of blood, 006 uses his last breath to give Jean one final order. Protect this life you have now. Memory fades. Executive Shinjia and her security chief suddenly appear in the lobby. Jean is caught off guard. He didn't expect them here. She came for business, but snaps when she sees Jean walking around like nothing happened. You're injured. Are you crazy? Jean looks awkward. A flash of the fight cuts in the moment the punch connected, tearing through the air with explosive power. Jean lies through his teeth, saying he's fine. Her expression softens into a smile as she makes an offer. If you're okay, then join me for dinner. Shinjia hits a wall. Before she can make her move, Aijin cuts her off. He's eating with family. She forces a bitter smile, knowing exactly what's happening. He's dodging her again. If personal appeals fail, try business. Jia pivots instantly, flashing a charming, slightly flushed smile as she dangles new bait. How about a high-paying part-time job? Aijin shuts it down instantly. Not now. Jia keeps her composure externally, but internally she's crushed. This kid is absolutely impenetrable. Aijin offers a polite escort out of courtesy, but Jia declines. The injured team leader watches the exchange, amused by the rare sight of his boss getting the cold shoulder. Watching Aijin leave, Jia marvels at his universal appeal. Then, her expression hardens as she turns to the team leader. Are you seriously planning to assign Aijin to Cha Sia? It's about the stalker threat. Jia puts her feelings aside and agrees with the logic. If Aijin is guarding Sia, no danger can touch her. It's the perfect countermeasure. Meanwhile, Aijin walks home alone, a giant question mark hanging over his head. He's totally oblivious to the schemes hatching behind his back or Jia's feelings. He turns the corner and finds Grandpa waiting under the street lamp. The old man flashes a mischievous, warm smile that melts Aijin's confusion instantly. Grandpa claims he's just getting fresh air, then drops the real topic. Dayun's birthday is coming up. The atmosphere shifts from suspense to pure family warmth. Now they're both stumped. Grandpa is terrified of buying the wrong gift for a sensitive teen, looking to Aijin for intel, but the ultimate soldier looks just as lost. Silence falls. Grandpa presses for clues, and Aijin racks his brain, only to realize he has no idea what his own sister actually likes. The guilt and the need for money sets in. Back in the office, Shinjia is buried in work when her phone rings. She glances at the screen and freezes. She definitely didn't expect him to call back so soon. A victorious smile curls on Jia's lips. On the other end, Aijin swallows his pride, looking hesitant in the dark, and awkwardly brings up the offer he rejected just hours ago. Aijin asks if the offer stands. Jia teases him, pretending to check her schedule for a dinner date, but Aijin bluntly corrects her. No, I mean the part-time job. Jia flushes with embarrassment, realizing she misread the room completely. She recovers quickly, her eyes narrowing with intrigue. Oh, that! Yes, the offer is still open. Business it is. Jia drops the location and time without missing a beat. The contract is set. The mercenary is reporting for duty tomorrow. Cut to the PC cafe. The boys are slacking off. One guy ignores the game lobby, glued to his screen, scrolling through celebrity gossip instead of playing. The screen is plastered with Cha Sia's face. Breaking news. The nation's sweetheart is starring in a new action drama. The boys are absolutely mesmerized. The bragging begins. Orange Jacket claims he saw her in the flesh while helping his cousin at an ad agency. His friends lean in, jaws dropping in pure envy. He totally loses it, screaming like a fanboy. 8 years of devotion paid off. She was even more perfect in reality. Little do they know, Aijin is about to meet their idol. Talk about a contrast. the deadly mercenaries 006 and 032 are totally fanboying over a pop star's photo, eyes practically glowing. Aijin just sips his drink, looking completely unimpressed by his squad's sudden obsession. The scene shifts to a massive studio packed with expensive gear and bright lights. This is Cha Sia's turf, and the air is thick with the busy tension of a professional production. Inside the private waiting room, superstar Cha Sia sits at her vanity. Despite her flawless makeup, her tense posture gives her away she's clearly anxious about this extra bodyguard arriving. The manager confirms the arrival with a serious look, but Sia pushes back. They already have a security team, why add another one? The redundancy makes her suspicious and uneasy. A massive SW bodyguard in sunglasses blocks the doorway, looking intimidating. The sweating manager explains he tried to refuse, but the higher-ups insisted on extra security due to recent threats. The sunglasses guy drops a bombshell. The new arrival is still a trainee. Hearing they're getting a rookie, the manager and star freeze, their faces twisted in pure disbelief. In the dimly lit equipment room, polished dress shoes step over a tangle of cables. Someone is approaching silently, and the atmosphere suddenly shifts from busy to eerie. The crew stops working and turns their heads toward the entrance in unison. A strange vibe fills the room as everyone whispers, wondering who this sudden arrival could be. The veteran SW bodyguard looks annoyed, thinking a rookie will just be a burden. The manager is stuck apologizing on the phone, while Sia sits silently, her expression darkening with worry. Just as the sunglasses guy lectures that being a bodyguard isn't a game, a knock echoes from the door. The tension in the room spikes as everyone locks their eyes on the entrance. The handle turns, and the door swings open. The arrogant bodyguard's jaw drops, his eyes widening behind his sunglasses, as if he's seeing something impossible. Standing in the doorway isn't a hulking giant, but a teenager in a neat suit. Aijin stands calmly and introduces himself with zero hesitation. I was sent by SW. The manager looks the teenager up and down, jaw on the floor. You're the bodyguard? Aijin doesn't flinch, answering coldly. Yes. My name is Aijin. The manager is about to dismiss him as just a pretty face, but a terrifying aura flares up around Aijin. A glimpse of his killer instinct pierces through his sunglasses, instantly chilling the air. The massive SW bodyguard blocks the doorway, looking down at Aijin with contempt. This isn't a game, kid. Aijin just looks up and politely asks, Can I come in? The manager quickly intervenes to let him in. Aijin walks past the stunned bodyguard with total composure. Meanwhile, Sia watches him intently through the reflection of her vanity mirror. The three men stand at the door, a mismatched group. Sia whips her head around, her sharp gaze locking onto this overly young bodyguard, her mind racing with questions. Facing the skepticism of the star and her crew, Aijin wastes no words. He stands tall, looking Sia straight in the eye. I'm Aijin. I'll be your bodyguard from now on. Sia is baffled but manages a polite, Nice to meet you. Her eyes, however, are full of scrutiny. She clearly doesn't see this kid as a reliable security asset. Watching Aijin's handsome face and perfect posture, Sia gets suspicious. Is he really a bodyguard? Or is the company just using this as a stunt to debut a trainee idol? Inside the waiting room, the tension is thick. The SW security team reviews the situation. The stalker isn't new. The harassment has been going on for a long time. Sia curls up on the sofa, looking exhausted. The creep isn't just leaving weird letters. He knows her address, and that terrifies her. In this industry, seniority is everything. A colleague had warned him, never reveal your age, or these people won't take you seriously. Although the question about his age was dodged earlier, it clearly became a thorn in the security team leader's side. Sure enough, the sunglasses-wearing leader loses his patience. Wearing a fierce look, he calls Aijin into the dim corridor, ready to teach the kid a lesson. Arms crossed, the sunglass guy warns Aijin with utter arrogance. Since he's just a trainee, he should stay in the corner and watch how the pros work. The guy keeps mocking SW for sending a child, but Aijin suddenly calls out his full name coldly, his submissive gaze turning sharp in an instant. Just as the guy is about to explode, Aijin cuts him off, voice icy. If you don't want to get beaten to a pulp, you better listen closely. In a split second, the arrogant leader is sent flying, clutching his stomach in disbelief, while Aijin stands there calmly, his eyes remaining cold. Hearing the commotion, Sia rushes over, asking worriedly if everything is okay. Aijin instantly hides his killing intent and calmly replies, "I'm fine." Filled with guilt, she apologizes for the rude bodyguard, thinking Aijin was bullied, tears forming in the corners of her eyes. To break the awkwardness, she tentatively asks, "You're a student, right?" Aijin maintains his professional silence, not engaging at all. Staff call for her on set. Sia takes a deep breath, instantly hiding her vulnerability and switching back into superstar mode for work. Before leaving, she turns back with a gentle smile, telling Aijin to relax, completely unaware of the dominance this boy just displayed. The bustle belongs to them. Aijin fades into the darkness alone. He doesn't need to relax, he only needs to eliminate every potential threat from the shadows. Meanwhile, SW executive Shinjia stares at her tablet, wondering if the injured boy is handling the mission smoothly. His comrade 006, arms and casts, is there too. They confirm Aijin is in position. Injured or not, he is still the legendary Aijin. They figure it's just a stalker, and with SW backing him up, Aijin is basically on a paid vacation to recover. Jia flashes a peace sign with a playful smile. For him, this should be a piece of cake, right? But the scene cuts to a hand clutching a hidden camera just discovered. Looks like this easy job isn't so simple after all. Cameras flash as the star poses, but in the shadows, the sunglasses guy ignores the show, whispering suspiciously into his comms. While the shoot continues, the security team leader corners Aijin with his goons, aggressively demanding why he's abandoned his post. Aijin calmly claims he was inspecting, and just as the team leader starts to mock him, the director's cut. "Great work," interrupts the bullying. It's a wrap. Cha Sia lets out a breath and grabs water from her manager, tired but relieved the job is done. Before anyone can relax, the mood shifts instantly and order barks out forbidding anyone from leaving, killing the vibe. The team leader announces the police are en route and everyone is a suspect, throwing the confused staff into a panic. Sia freezes in fear, clueless, until a photo is produced, proof of a hidden camera discovered on set. The tiny spy cam glints with a sinister purple light. Aijin stares at the device, his eyes turning cold. The team leader points to the waiting room as the location, and Sia turns pale, realizing her privacy was completely violated. Staff panic, whispering that security footage showed no one entering. It's a mystery how the device got there. The leader screams, "Why tell me now?" But Aijin calmly explains he waited to avoid panicking Sia during the shoot, knowing the culprit couldn't leave. Aijin's calm makes the team leader look like a clown. Furious, he lunges to snatch the evidence from Aijin's hand. Aijin ignores him, insisting on giving the evidence to the manager instead, sparking immediate hostility. Pulling rank, the team leader bullies the nervous manager into handing over the damn camera, taking control by force. Device in hand, he ignores the investigation and instead turns on Aijin, clutching the evidence while issuing a blatant threat. "You?" Outside, the team leader issues a direct challenge, clearly planning to teach this rebellious kid a lesson privately. In the hallway, he demands why Aijin didn't report it, only to get shut down. "I asked if you checked the room, and you lied that you did." Caught in his lie, the man snaps, grinning maniacally as he screams about respecting superiors to cover his incompetence. Aijin stares him down coldly, delivering a final blow. "You're not my superior." The man's fist clenches, rage boiling over. Words fail, fists fly. The team leader swings wildly amidst a backdrop of tension, while Aijin just smirks, ready to counter. 006 tries one last time to reason with his old comrade, fists clenched tight and glowing with unstable energy. He warns the redhead that this path won't help anyone. The redhead isn't listening, mocking 006 with a sneer behind his shades. He claims 006 is only acting tough because of the SW group's protection, or he'd be dead already. The confrontation ends in cold silence. Cut to the rainy streets, where a silver van speeds away, leaving the failed negotiation behind in the wet darkness. Inside the speeding van, tension is high. The blonde demands answers about the hidden camera, while the driver tries to reassure her that the investigation is ongoing. She worries they're overreacting, but the driver cuts in firmly. Eyes focused on the road, he promises they'll run their own investigation to uncover the truth. The car pulls over, and the tension softens slightly. With a brief, "Take care and rest," the vehicle drives off into the night, ending the long day. Meanwhile, 006 offers Aijin a ride to the station, but Aijin refuses immediately. Stubborn and independent as always, he turns to leave on his own terms. Aijin sprints away under the streetlights, moving like a shadow. 006 stands motionless, watching him go with a heavy, complicated gaze. Alone on the empty street, 006 lets out a long breath. With his back to the warm lights, he stands in solitude, burdened by the weight of his choices. Cut to sunset. Behind a large gate, the idol Chasiha peeks out cautiously. Hat down, mask up, she looks like she's sneaking out on a secret mission. She scans the area like a frightened animal, eyes darting nervously. Only after checking every corner does she dare to inch her way out. But she's caught immediately. Aijin appears behind her like a ghost, asking coldly why she hasn't left yet, freezing her in her tracks. Aijin tries to send her back, but she actually pushes back. Pointing at the convenience store, she pleads her case, insisting she just wants to buy something. Aijin states flatly that he'll go instead, it's his job. Defeated, Sia falls silent, glaring at him helplessly from behind her mask. Cut to the next scene, the argument is over, and they're sitting in the convenience store eating ramen. Mask off, she slurps the noodles happily, her mood instantly lifted. Between bites, she explains she usually gets takeout, but feels safe eating here because he's around. She admits that walking freely is her only escape from stress. She smiles bitterly, admitting she has no friends due to her career. When Aijin asks what she wants to do, she simply says, "Go to a PC cafe after school," leaving him stunned by her simple wish. When she realizes Aijin might agree, Sia's eyes pop open in total shock. Watching her freak out, Aijin wonders why she reacts exactly like a regular high school boy. They head straight for the PC cafe. Students at the entrance drop their jaws in disbelief. Seeing a top idol with a bodyguard here is absolutely surreal. Sia is in heaven, waving excitedly with sparkles all around her. Meanwhile, Aijin stands behind her like a stone statue, the stoic bodyguard contrasting perfectly with her bubbly energy. The internet cafe is buzzing. The group can hardly believe the stoic Aijin actually joined them for a gaming session. The boys are fawning over the Nuna in the hat, swearing she looks better in person, even if she sucks at the game. But when it comes to skills, reality hits. The celebrity gets defensive, only to be roasted. She and Aijin were absolute dead weight today. Roasting aside, laughter erupts. The superstar throws her head back, laughing freely, just another terrible gamer among friends. The party breaks up as night falls. Aijin slips back into bodyguard mode, while the three boys stand under the streetlight, still buzzing. As they watch them leave, it finally clicks. The Nuna they just teased for being bad at games was actually the superstar Chasiha. The boys lose it over their signed jackets. Inside the car, Sia is in high spirits, amused that her bodyguard is just a high schooler. As they drive, she turns to Aijin with genuine gratitude. Thanks to him, she finally got to experience a carefree night at a PC bang. Her smile fades as she opens up. Being a child star meant trading her childhood and friends for fame, leaving her truly lonely. She asks why he took this job. When Aijin says it's for his sister's birthday gift, she covers her mouth, touched by his pure motive. Envious of his sibling bond, she offers to drive him home. Aijin, sticking to boundaries, instantly turns her down. Aijin keeps it professional, calling her Ms. Cha. She flusters and softly pleads with him to drop the formalities and just call her Nona. Silence fills the car. Aijin stares out the window, balancing his professional restraint with a hint of awkwardness. They arrive, but the mood shifts instantly as they step out. Aijin's eyes narrow. Someone is waiting for them in the shadows. A grim man in glasses steps forward. Sia claims he's an acquaintance, but her stiff posture screams fear. The man coldly states the director is looking for her. Sia pales, clearly terrified of whoever summoned her. Blocked by the imposing men, Sia trembles. This isn't an invitation, it's a threat, and she's being cornered. The suit notices Aijin and glares, warning him to stay out of it. Their eyes lock, and the tension spikes to a breaking point. Just as things heat up, Sia steps in. Feigning calm, she tells Aijin to go home, desperate to keep the innocent student safe. She forces a gentle smile, urging him to rest. She has no idea the boy she's trying to protect is actually the deadliest person there. A black sedan speeds through the night. The blonde star, Cha Sia, looks annoyed, snapping back at the caller. Why should I answer? The tension is thick. She's clearly done with him. The creep is already waiting in the car. He smirks with chilling confidence, crossing his arms like he owns the place. Hey, Cha Sia, don't get ahead of yourself. It's a toxic ex. She's having none of it, reminding him they're done. She pushes the door open, cold and firm. Don't call me, and stay away from my house. Who said you could leave? He slams the door shut with a violent crash. Looming over her, he blocks her exit, the mask of civility completely gone. He explodes, veins popping as he screams, threatening to destroy her career. Think you're big now? I can end you in a second. She freezes, eyes wide with shock. The threat escalates to her family. His eyes glow red with malice as he looks down at her like prey. Shut your mouth and listen, before I go after your loved ones. A sudden scream pierces the air. The scene erupts in violence, energy crackling as the conflict turns physical, drowning out everything but her terrified cry. In a blink, a figure is sent flying through the air. A massive impact shakes the ground, leaving Sia trembling and utterly confused about what just happened. Dust settles, revealing Aijin. He stands there calmly, as if he just swatted a fly, and turns to the terrified girl. Are you okay? You can come out now. The creep scrambles up, furious and humiliated, screaming, Who the hell are you? Aijin shields the girl, his expression stone cold. I'm a bodyguard. A bodyguard? The creep is baffled. Meanwhile, Manager Kim is already on his knees, clutching his head in panic, realizing this situation just spiraled out of control. Seething with rage, the creep has no choice but to retreat. He glares into the rearview mirror, cursing under his breath and vowing revenge. See you later. The danger is gone, but she's panicked. Hands over her mouth, she asks, Do you have any idea who he is? Aijin just tilts his head, completely unfazed. I just did my job. Aijin doesn't bother explaining. He turns around, signaling her to follow. Let's go! I'll leave once you're inside. Cold, professional, and safe. At her door, the tension finally breaks. The star looks at her silent protector, the fear in her eyes replaced by a genuine smile. Thanks for helping me.